otros programas, digamos, llegamos a que los ingenieros debíamos centrarnos en esos dos tipos, Una es solución de problemas, participando en proyectos, y la segunda, que sean muy fuertes en sistemas de información y en arquitectura de seguridad. Y eso está reflejado en las dos competencias. Para ir más adelante, eso está reflejado, esa visión está reflejada en las dos competencias básicas del programa de Ingeniería del Sistema de
Y por ejemplo, en the CDIO approach has this as a vision statement. So you want to think, when your whole curriculum reform is finished, what will it look like? You want to have that picture, and the best possible curriculum that we could design would look like this. That's your vision statement. And so in CDIO, it says, and we've only talked about the first one, we have a curriculum that's centered on students, okay? It's multidisciplinary, it's linked with other, and it's based on learning outcomes. That's what the curriculum looks like in a CDIO approach. Okay? But there's more to it. That's the curriculum. Plus, in addition to that, if we look at the kind of teaching that goes on, there's some active and experiential teaching. There is a variety of project-based learning. Okay, so that's all part of the CDIO approach. Okay. We pay attention to the workspaces, to the laboratories for students. Do they have places where they can do their projects? Do they have modern laboratories and tools? And part of it is, do we have a system in place where we can evaluate the curriculum and assess those skills we want students to learn? So for us, that's the whole vision. That's the whole package. Okay? Now, what's hard is that sometimes when we talk about, even at like CDIO at MIT, if you talk to the students or you talk to the instructors, they think that CDIO is just the capstone project. So they call it the CDIO course. It's the capstone project. Yes, but that's just part of it. If you adopt the CDIO approach, the vision is a different curriculum, different teaching learning methods, different assessment methods, and workspaces for students. So that's an example of a vision. Gracias. And so we have group 5, and I want to come back to this vision idea too, but let's say group 5. Gracias, Gonzalo.
Perdón, Lori, si ustedes pueden ver, por lo menos los que han participado en buena parte del auditorio ha participado en la reforma curricular de la ingeniería del sistema. Y han participado, creo que la reforma curricular cumple todo esto. O sea, tenemos un currículo centrado en los estudiantes, multidisciplinario, basado en competencias de salida. Tenemos proyecto educativo con aprendizajes con experiencia. Tenemos proyectos, tenemos cursos, 2, 3 momentos en el currículum que podemos hacerlo. Tenemos, claro, y proyectos en clase y laboratorio, cursos de laboratorio. En eso tenemos que mejorar mucho, pues esta universidad no está muy dada a tener muchos laboratorios, pero tenemos que seguir presionando para tener muchos laboratorios, ¿sí? Mejorar los laboratorios y en este proceso, esto es lo más difícil para nosotros. Sí. Estamos allí. Now it's the hardest part.
De hecho, Gonzalo, el proyecto educativo favorece la formulación de programas que cumplan con estas características.
Quizá en esa transición para nosotros lo más difícil, el conocimiento lo sabemos evaluar, pero lo más difícil es evidenciar el logro de la competencia.
Sí, sí. And just so that you don't get discouraged, now we have been doing the CDIO approach, or the group, the organization has started 11 years ago. Now we've been working, and MIT really started working on the outcomes 2 years before that. Right? And we do this pretty well, we do this pretty well, we do this pretty well. We still have not really some attempts, some progress, but for 11 years. So if you have not solved the problem in 3 years, do not be discouraged.
Okay.
Okay? This is the hardest part. Not the hardest part for Stacy, it's the hardest part.
For everyone.
For everyone. Okay? It's the hardest part. So that's the, and when I was talking about the vision, don't forget this part, okay? I skipped over that, and this is what we talked about earlier today. Set that program in the context of your professional practice. So if I were going to describe CDIO and what are the, well, in fact, if you look at what's developed in CDIO and you look at the book, we've developed 12 characteristics. We call them standards. But what happened is, remember I said, why did we start at MIT anyway? Why did we start the curriculum process? Because industry said, you're sending us people that are smart. Keep sending us smart people. They weren't saying to us, you know, they don't have to be smart anymore, but they have to be engineers. So when we put this in place, we went back to industry, part of this evaluation, tried to answer that question. Is this what you were looking for? Will this program prepare? And so what do you think the, so we put this program into place. Is the CDIO approach the answer to what you were asking? And their response to us was, how will we know a CDIO program when we see one? And so it forced us to try to define 12 different characteristics, and that's what we call the standards, of course. And of course, we were bold enough, not just MIT, but part of the whole CDI organization, after we developed the characteristics and said, this is how you will know a CDIO program, and we developed this for you, we were bold enough then to go back to industry and say, will you put a premium on, if we send you students who have graduated from a CDIO program, will you pay them more? Because this is what you wanted. Will you pay them more if you get this? We still don't have an answer to that. But it's that process of going back to the people, to the question you started with. Okay, and number 5, a very important one.
El apoyo, digamos, a los profesores y el desarrollo mismo de los profesores es uno de los puntos, digamos, más críticos de la implementación del proceso como este. Nosotros en la facultad ya llevamos desde 2010. Desde 2010, bueno, la he hecho más. Entonces, pues yo como jefe de departamento, tal vez de las mayores dificultades que he encontrado y frente a las cuales nosotros no nos preparamos fue para esto. Porque realmente la mayor tentación está en focalizarnos en un tema de contenidos, en un tema de que todo cuadre con todo, de que sí, que esta competencia por aquí, que está por allá, y se nos olvida el factor humano. Entonces, pues esa curva que pintaba Doris, pues yo la tengo clarita, digamos ya con muñequitos allí, quién está en cada parte, pero es interesarse de alguna forma, anticiparnos a ello, porque hace la jornada, yo diría que más amigable y que ande más, ¿no? Hay algo que a mí me llamó muchísimo la atención y no quisiera que yo la entendiera, ¿no? Y es que si yo, por ejemplo, digo que, bueno, nuestros estudiantes, una de las competencias esperadas es pensamiento estratégico, por decir cualquiera. Yo como profesor, ¿cómo estoy el pensamiento estratégico? O sea, ¿hasta dónde me he hecho esa pregunta? Entonces yo sé un mundo de estrategia, pero ¿hasta dónde yo realmente pienso de manera estratégica? Esa pregunta, pues primero, digamos que no es fácil hacerlo, ¿no? Porque nos pone un poquito en duda nuestra sapiencia y eso pues, eso incomoda un poquito.
Pisa callos.
¿Ah?
Pisa callos.
Eso pisa callos, entonces pues, y a veces tal vez quienes están acá o estemos acá en un momento que se también incluyo, pues simplemente puede hacer que haya un temor. Y es un temor a que, sí, a mí me han dicho que hay que hablar de competencias, pero no tengo ni idea de eso cómo se come, no tengo ni idea cómo diablos yo voy a desarrollar, si digamos toda mi historia docente ha sido en esto y ahora me dicen que tengo que irme para acá, pero no me han dicho el cómo. Sí, entonces hasta dónde realmente una sugerencia que les aventó corazones que incluyan dentro del programa algo para desarrollar a los profesores. Y no solo los que estamos aquí, sino los de la cátedra. La acreditación no tiene nada que ver usted qué contrato tenga.
Muy válido.
La verdad es irrelevante. ¿Sí? Entonces, por ejemplo, les doy varios ejemplos. Decíamos, bueno, una de las competencias de los estudiantes es la comunicación. Y vieras de la batalla campal cuando decíamos que es que usted, profesor de economía, de finanzas, de recursos humanos, también tiene que ver con la comunicación. No, no tiene nada que ver con eso sí le corresponde al departamento de español. ¿Sí? O si usted le dice, no, es que el tema de trabajo en equipo nos toca a todos. No, para eso están las que saben, a mí no me complique la vida con esas cosas. ¿Acá? Aquí habla mucho de educación y experiencia, nosotros sabemos de eso. Entonces, ¿hasta dónde realmente tenemos las herramientas para la implementación? Porque si nos devolvemos al modelo de COTE, pues que la meditación se maneja mucho, realmente el mensaje que da el instituto tiene que tener una visión muy clara, tiene que tener muy claro para dónde va el apoyo de las actas directivas y todo. Pero cuando usted ya va a la ejecución, al día a día, y mover ese barco es bravo. Es bien difícil, no es imposible, pero casi que la mayor dificultad está en el cambio que hacer que nosotros hacemos. Entonces, de que si yo digo que esta universidad, bueno, mis estudiantes van a ser líderes, ¿cómo estoy yo liderando? Y yo creo que una buena oportunidad para ustedes, por ejemplo, liderar el proceso de cambio como este, que no son fáciles, pero son muy interesantes. Y casi que el primer paso es cómo cambio yo, porque pues, señalar los demás es facilito. Y digamos, hasta donde yo dentro de mi cátedra pues estoy haciendo lo que me supone que debo estar haciendo. Y si no lo estoy haciendo, pues tener el espacio para poder decir, oiga, no lo sé hacer, pues no me regañe, no me castigue, ayúdenme. Sencillamente, pues creo que todos estamos aprendiendo y ese pedacito para mí ha sido el que nosotros probablemente cuando arrancamos no hicimos este ejercicio, o sea, teníamos muy focalizado en un tema de contenidos, de proceso, de todo así, eso está bien, pero el tema humano usualmente lo dejamos en un cajón y en el camino vamos arreglando cargas, pero a veces es doloroso y se puede hacer más sencillo, entonces es como arreglar el tema de un comienzo. Y luego el tema del assessment es bien complejo, porque surgen 500.000 preguntas. Nosotros estamos trabajando con rúbricas y asumimos que por ahí estamos más o menos evaluando si el conocimiento, digamos ni siquiera conocimiento, si la habilidad la desarrollamos o no. Pero ahí entran todas las preguntas del mundo, hasta dónde la rúbrica es válida como elemento de medición. Creo que ninguno de nosotros le ha hecho el análisis estadístico a ver si esto realmente mide lo que dice que está midiendo. Pero bueno, estamos empezando. Ustedes me imaginan lo que fue entender qué diablos es una rúbrica. ¿Sí? Eso fue una jornada muy larga y luego decir, y esto sí mide lo que yo realmente pretendo que voy a medir. ¿Ya?
Es que esa es la pregunta Claro. Nosotros es la que no nos deja dormir.
Juanita, es que...
Pero es muy compleja, pero yo creo que el punto es ir afinando. Y tal vez el punto, digamos, también de quiebre es que la participación de los profesores,
Claro.
si no, le llenan a usted un papel.
Claro.
Y se lo llena todo el mundo visualito, lo llena de cruces y de X y de y sigo haciendo lo mismo.
Claro.
Y en el papel estamos cumpliendo.
O sea que en la práctica el reflejo de las competencias se vean efectivamente reflejadas en una cambio.
Juanita, es que...
No se pretende que en 2 años ya los estudiantes salieron hechos, estamos mejor que malditos. Sí, hay humildad que nos toca.
Es que creo que la reflexión que usted acaba de hacer para nosotros es extremadamente valiosa, porque estamos justo en el momento donde estamos tratando de incorporar. Ya de alguna manera tenemos una matriz donde tenemos definido la parte de conocimientos y también tenemos definido la parte de lo que nosotros llamamos las competencias transversales. Entonces, lo que usted decía, para nosotros es claro que una materia le puede aportar, vamos a decir cualquier cosa, a la parte de pensamiento crítico. El problema es que ahora nosotros tenemos que trascender eso al programa, llamémoslo al programa de curso, y decirle, señor profesor, usted no solamente se va a comprometer con que el señor sepa A, B, C o D como temas, sino que usted, aparte de eso, va a tener que incluir conscientemente actividades o que introduzcan, o que refuercen, o que valoren esta competencia. No sé a ustedes cómo les ha ido con ese grupo, porque nosotros estamos justamente en el momento y por eso me siento completamente identificado.
Esa es una de las preguntas que Juanita tiene como
No, mentira, es una jornada que yo diría que es bien interesante.
Sí, claro.
Digámoslo así. Pero en la medida que los profesores se vean involucrados
Claro.
en el diseño y tengan el permiso de equivocarse porque estamos aprendiendo,
Eso que usted acaba de decir es
creo que la cosa
valiosísimo.
más o menos funciona. Porque si no, pues cada quien saca su defensa y su artillería pesada y está claro que lleva. Y eso es entendido. Entonces es difícil, pero yo siento que pues aprovechar los que primero los compradores tempranos,
Adoptantes tempranos.
Los pioneros.
Los pioneros es bueno y otra cosa que nosotros hemos, lástima que mis colegas del departamento no estén, hemos ido aprendiendo
Sí, claro.
como moretones, ¿sí? A trabajar entre departamentos, porque es que eso no me toca a mí, eso es tuyo, eso no es mío, eso es tuyo,
Claro.
eso es tuyo. ¿Ya? En cambio, cuando hablamos de competencias, los departamentos se empiezan a difuminar, pero la línea más, digamos, la mayor barrera está acá.
De acuerdo.
Es totalmente, escuchar el eso no me toca lo vas a oír muchas veces,
Claro.
pero muchísimas veces. ¿Sí? Entonces, decirle usted al otro, gracias a que no esté Julián, que ellos tenían que evaluar la competencia de comunicación oral. Lo de finanzas, ¿qué nos están diciendo? ¿Sí? Eso no nos toca a nosotros. Que la ética, no, llamemos a los de
Sí, claro.
son los que saben de eso.
Se parcela el...
Sí, no nos toca. Sí, llamemos a Jerónimo que solucione ese problema y ya, pero de nuevo seguimos pensando es simplemente conocimientos y no es desarrollar competencias. Cambiar ese chip es demorado.
Y en el proceso ustedes consideraron, nosotros dijimos, no nos vamos a meter con el núcleo común, eso es difícil, vamos a tocar...
Esa era una pregunta.
Ah, bueno, listo.
Ahora para Alessandra y para Juanita. No, dale.
Nosotros dijimos, mire, entrar en este momento a negociar con todos los departamentos, no vamos a trabajar desde el departamento, desde la materia, desde el grupo de materias que más le aportan a la profesión del chico y vamos a tratar de comprometernos en lo básico. Lo otro, en realidad, nosotros no lo abordamos.
De nuevo, estás hablando en términos de lo que a mí me toca, más no de competencia.
Correcto.
Pero es que ahí vuelve el tema.
Claro,
Si se está haciendo un cambio curricular por competencias, la primera diapositiva decía, hay que comprometer desde la cabeza hasta la base.
Claro.
Entonces, si el núcleo común es el 30% de todos los programas y no se hace el trabajo también de competencias en el núcleo común, pues...
Pero ahora yo se lo pongo en términos prácticos.
Allá es donde hoy que eso es Eso es una piedra que nosotros no hemos saltado. Espérense, yo explico ahorita.
Claro, claro.
Yes, I think this went much farther than what I.
No, Doris, this is, we have in this university, we have one special curriculum structure. It's good. This is semester 1 to semester 10. And we have, this is the common core curriculum, the number of courses, the common core curriculum. We started in the first semester with many courses of common core. This is maybe the 30% of the curriculum, all carriers in the university, for business administration, for engineering, for design, for everything. Then we have the basic curriculum, and then you will have the professional
Elective.
Professional and elective. The common core, we can touch this part. This part is only for the faculty or the departments that we are.
I don't agree.
We are here. You are one.
That's the mindset. We are just department.
Pero es que aquí me está faltando el gran jugador.
Sí.
And
Y los tiempos son
we
más.
keep saying that
Pero es que
we have
Juanita como que más.
common issues courses and the others are just specializing that. We're not thinking on companies. We're not thinking on learning outcomes.
Sí,
For
por eso.
students. We're still thinking on knowledge and basic things. That's why I say it's mindset and it's in our hands.
We hope that this common part of the curriculum have some learning outcome like critical thinking, working in group,
Learn to learn.
and
Communication.
communication, something like that. We hope. But this part of the curriculum are not designed. They are not have not assessment for this competence. This is one of the main problems. And we can touch this part. This part don't depend of us. This part depends of the other departments.
Critical thinking does not depend on you.
No, it depends of us, no, of course, no. One part is our responsibility, but the other part is the responsibility of other departments. No, of course. But this is one of the main problems. We are starting in an assignment for this part of the curriculum. The red part, or the blue part is not.
No.
The university don't touch this part. Yeah, it affects all the curriculum.
We should have another project to touch that part.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the point. No, that's true. Yeah. We should touch that part.
My grandson,
Seek
sí.
to be based on CDIO makes this division as well and touch only the part of the professional part.
We only touch the professional part.
But in the UNIANDE framework it's the same thing. And they
They say that explicitly. They say.
That's a good point, and I want to keep this here, and we're really going to look at that tomorrow when we try to do that mapping to the curriculum. And the reason, again, that's a university constraint, that at some universities, like MIT, the department, the program, has no influence on the mathematics, the chemistry. We have no influence. So when you have all of your program outcomes, the program can't go to the math department and say, we want you to address this outcome in your mathematics course, because we don't have any influence. It's not like that everywhere.
You need to make a negotiation with
Yes.
the program.
And in Sweden, this is what they do. In Sweden, the way that it's set up is every program, let's say electrical, because in the CDIO project, it's the Applied Physics and Electrical Engineering is the program. each program has what they call a program board. And they look across, the program board decides what courses their students need. And if they need a math course for their applied physics, they look at the math department and they pick the course they want. And they ask the math department, will you teach a course for us? Okay. Now, why does the math department want to do that? Because the math department does not get any resources unless somebody wants their course. So applied physics buys a mathematics course, okay, and that brings resources to mathematics. So they have a lot of influence, okay? And the second example, or more influence than we do. The second example, and is the one that I'll talk about tomorrow when we talk about doing this mapping of the outcomes to the courses. When we did this at, it was at Unitech, when they had their workshop to do this mapping, and I said it was a computer, we worked primarily with a computer engineering program, though there was a business program there. But at that exercise, at that workshop, were the people in mathematics, in languages, in English. They were all part of the workshop. So when they did their mapping, some of the skills went to those courses. Because we're talking about the students, this is what you're saying. The end result is, what does the student need and where should they get that? Okay? So they had a lot of cooperation and were able to do that. But I said, we cannot do that at MIT, we have this kind of situation. Okay? So you have to work other ways around it. So if you're describing that curriculum mapping in the CDIO book, and it's based on the MIT approach, it's exactly right. We look at what goes on in the program as primary responsibility. But we will talk much more about that tomorrow. I just want to make 2 points here about this. And you have to think about, where do your instructors come from? What is the background of the instructors when they come to teach engineering? Are they professional engineers, or are they researchers coming from a university? Okay. Many, and I'll give you an example of MIT and many of the schools. The engineers who teach, or the engineering faculty at MIT, and I'll use aerospace because I know them best. Okay. For the most part, almost more than 95% came from university programs where they learned engineering, where they did their research, and where they continue to do research. So they're coming to MIT to continue their research. They are not practicing engineers. They've not worked in their profession as an engineer. They don't have that work experience. I would say the same thing is true of the business faculty. They know the literature, they know the research, name theory, and the principles. They have not necessarily been business managers in an enterprise. Okay. So that's what this is saying. It's saying you're now responsible to teach your students how to be an engineer, but you haven't been an engineer yourself. You don't have those skills yourself. Even something simple, well, it's not simple, but teamwork. You've not worked on a project to create a product as a team. You've probably done research in a lab by yourself or with a partner, but you've not developed a product with a team. And we're asking you to teach your students how to do that. So we're not saying you punish the faculty. What we're saying is somehow we have to help them to enhance, and that's like, it's not as though they don't have any of those skills, okay? But to support them to get better at those professional skills themselves so they can teach them the others, okay? So these are the ones, these are the skills that have to do with your profession. Okay, so we'll come back to ways to do that. This one, the other thing that you did not come into this to teach at this university with a background in how to teach. I mean, how many of you took an education course in your doctoral program? 0. Okay? And now we're saying we want you to be creative and innovative about how you teach. So we have to, again, support with programs of faculty development. Okay? How do you do this? How do you do the second part? What we're doing this week. This is helping you to support issues about curriculum and teaching and learning and assessment. So, workshops about education. You have, where's Alessandra? She's okay, you have, wave your hand, Alessandra. You have a center for teaching and learning here at the university. Use the center. Call on her. That's her job. To help you to improve, I'm assuming. Maybe you have something called. You have something called that, okay? That's her job, to help you. Now, she has a big job, but she has the entire university. Some programs hire this kind of a, and Alessandra, just for engineering. Some programs, like MIT Aerospace, hire someone just for the program. That's how I got hired. Okay? And my job is to actually, I'm going to show resources. There are actually 2 of us. One who does teaching and learning, and I do assessment. You have your accreditation people here. Okay? Now, curriculum evaluation is more than just accreditation, but this is a good start. Your accreditation people have evaluation and assessment skills. You know, use them. What do you do about this? Getting people to learn the skills of their profession. This is a harder one. But there's to be a commitment on the part of a program. You know, sometimes it means when you take a sabbatical. Maybe your sabbatical is not to do research. Not every sabbatical. Okay, if you hear. But my problem is I never stayed in one place long enough to even get to the point where I could earn a sabbatical. And now that I have it at MIT, I'm not in a 10-year track line, but that's another story. But maybe one time when you do a sabbatical, it's not for your research, it's for your enhancing of your professional skills. So you go and work in industry for 6 months. You get a job as an engineer. Now, that may not be possible in Colombia. Okay?
So we need those kind of periods here.
There we go. Oh, you don't have sabbaticals? Oh, okay. So that's another. Sometimes you invite someone from industry to co-teach with you, or at least to help you to lead the project. Okay? And there's that kind of collaboration going on. So they come in and work with the, kind of help the students with a whole range of things working on the project.
Write a case.
Write a case. Okay. So again, depending on it. So this is really about getting better at your professional area. Not the knowledge base. Do you have to keep up with that? Absolutely. Okay. You still have to keep up with the knowledge base of your, but this is the practice of your profession. And in some areas, it's much more common to have the practitioners. Right? We actually, at MIT, we actually hire people, and we have a tenure track, so people have to do the promotion things, and they have to be, you know, lecturers and assistant professors and associate professors and full professors, and so they have to do the research. But we also have another track that are called professors of the practice. Okay? So these are people, and not necessarily because they may have their doctorate as well. Okay? Or they may have a master's degree. So it's not that they don't have the academic preparation, but they are coming from the practice, and they don't have the pressure to do research and publish and get promoted up that line. They're professors of the practice, so they can focus on the practice. So what this is saying, and one of the things that was not clear to me at the beginning, when we talk about this faculty development, we're talking about the faculty as a whole. So every single person doesn't have to have expertise in everything. But your faculty as a whole has to have it. Okay? So you don't have to say, well, I have to send every person that works in industry. No. When you look at your faculty as a whole, is there expertise in your program area, in all of the professional practice and in teaching and learning? Does it exist somewhere? So everybody has a good piece. All right, I'm going to give you